Thank you for joining us today. I am Marika Oglesby, Director of the Women's Leadership Institute of Baltimore at Notre Dame of Maryland University, also known as WLIB. WLIB was reignited in 2018 to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of outstanding individuals in the Baltimore region and beyond through curated experiences for leadership and personal development. Through the convening of discussions on issues of gender equity, WLIB offers programming pertinent to the advancement of women and men to inspire action and connection. This year, we celebrate our inaugural President's Leadership Forum. This event, initiated by Dr. Mary Lou Yam, NDMU's 14th president, honors and recognizes highly accomplished individuals who create positive change and have an enduring impact on our community and our world. This forum is a platform to showcase exceptional role models to inspire and motivate through their life achievements. Our speaker for 2022 is Kenneth R. Banks with a keynote on the essentials of achieving success. I will now turn it over to President Mary Lou Yam to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Marika. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's an honor for me to introduce Kenneth R. Banks. Ken is known as a trend-setting businessman, developer, project manager, and general contractor. He is the founder and president of Banks Contracting and Development Company, now Banks Global Group, BGG. Ken is the recent past chair of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. Known for his ability to develop strategic global partnerships, Ken has successfully completed mammoth projects in Maryland and across the globe. Mr. Banks' passion for philanthropic endeavors is easily recognized through his work in advocacy, mentoring, leadership, and volunteering with many organizations. He actively serves on several boards, including the University of Maryland School of Medicine's Board of Visitors, University Maryland Shock Trauma Board of Visitors, and the Maryland Economic Development Commission. Ken's unyielding passion for improving health outcomes and revitalizing communities has led him to explore international partnerships, working to secure financial capital for housing, medical facilities, and other infrastructure needs in Africa, South America, and Asia. And now, Ken Banks on essentials of achieving success.
Thank you, President Yam. We will begin our moving and exciting keynote feature presentation, which lasts about 38 minutes, followed by a brief fireside chat.
Hello. It's an honor to address the students and faculty of Notre Dame of Maryland University. It's an honor to be the first speaker for the inaugural President's Leadership Forum. I want to thank especially Mary Lou Yam, the president of Notre Dame, and also a very good friend and a board member of Notre Dame, Bob Scott. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Ken Banks. I'm president of Banks Global. And well, before I start, let me give you a word about my sunglasses. My eyes are hyper light sensitive, and after a couple of operations, I have this hyper light sensitivity, and so the lights for the camera and all of that, I can't look into that, and so I have to wear sunglasses for this kind of situation. Also outside, sunshine is very difficult for me, so excuse the glasses. What we are going to talk about today is living life well, being true to your heart and to your destiny. Hopefully after we speak today, there will be a few minutes for questions and answers. Now, I want to give you a little background on myself. I was born in Yonkers, New York. I had a colorful childhood. For the first 18 years of my life, I lived in the housing projects of Yonkers. I was sickly as a youth. I had asthma and I spent time in a lot of time in the hospital up until the age of 7 or 8. And my father was an alcoholic, and you know that brings a whole nother energy, to the family, and a lot of disruptions there. But moving on, my mother was very stringent upon me. She wanted me to go to college. She drilled that into me from a very young age. And when I asked her, well, how am I going to do that? How are we going to pay for that? She said, I don't know about that. I don't know. But you're going to college, right? So I asked around and see what I could do. And I was told that I could work and get some scholarship offers. And so you can either get a scholastic scholarship or an academic scholarship or an athletic scholarship. And I went to a good school, Sacred Heart High School in Yonkers. I studied hard. I had a number of scholastic scholarships. So when I graduated, offers, and I also had a few athletic scholarship offers. And so I wound up going to Adelphi University under an athletic scholarship. I ran track. I happened to be faster than most people. I was number 2 in the state of New York in high hurdles in high school, and they took me in as an athlete at Adelphi. And so that was a great career. At Adelphi, I became an entrepreneur. It was a group called the Four of Us. There were 4 of us, and we used to give parties and dances and fashion shows at Adelphi. And we'd rent out the student center, and we'd market the event by going to some of the area schools like C.W. Post and Hofstra and St. John's. And then we have those students come in on a Friday or Saturday night, and we did that for the 4 years that I was there. And so that was my first entree into entrepreneurship, and it was a great experience and helped to pay for everything other than what the scholarship paid for. So I was able to buy a car and all of that, and so it was a great experience at Adelphi. I also had some tragedy at Adelphi, and I was with the on a track team, as I said, and during the spring break, we would go down to Florida, and there was a Florida relays, and for the week before the Florida relays, we would work out, etc. And at the hotel, they had a pool. And so the track team was there, and we were diving in the pool and swimming underwater as far as we could. We went down to the end and swim back as far as we could, and it was kind of a race. And we did that 5 or 6 times. And one time I jumped in, swam down, and started coming back, and I lost consciousness in the pool, and I became immobile. And I guess it was a few seconds later, they realized that I was not moving. So my roommate at the time, Ray, jumped in the water, pulled me to the edge. Team pulled me out. I wasn't breathing. They, pressed on my chest and stomach, and water came up. And I went to the hospital after that, and I was fine. Everything was fine. So Ray saved my life during that period of time. Now, moving forward, a couple of months, only a few months later, we were at the senior dinner at school, and the dinner was off campus. And then we were driving back from campus that night, and the driving got a little bit crazy. There were a few of us on the road, and they were going too fast. And Ray was driving. He lost control of the car. This was before seatbelts. We hit a tree. When we started spinning, I grabbed the person I was with, the lady that I was with, to pull her down and kind of lean on top of her. Ray and his date, June, were flung out of the car. When the car hit the tree, they were ejected from the car. Nothing happened to me, just a lot of glass. Got out the car and realized that they weren't in the car, went outside and saw them. And the lady June was very, very badly damaged. And Ray didn't look as bad, but he kept saying, "Ken, just talk to me, just talk to me." So I held him for a while, and an ambulance came, and they took them to the hospital. And a few minutes later, we got rides to the hospital. And then when I got to the hospital, I asked about Ray, and they told me that he had died, he had passed away. And that was a very tragic part of my life, a very tragic experience. But it did teach me the precariousness of life, and you have to live for now. You have to live for the moment. You can't let anything go by. You have to do what is in your heart to do. And that we can be here 50 years or 10 years or 5 minutes. We don't know. And so, you know, the time when you want to live life, you want to live it now. Not wait to 10 years and I say, okay, I'm going to start living in 10 years, or I'm going to wait till I buy this big house before I'm happy. You got to live life at this time right now. So moving forward and getting to Baltimore from New York, and I developed Banks Contracting Company here in Baltimore, and it started as a small company and grew it to a pretty large company. We have some iconic projects in and around Baltimore, including the new clinical building at Johns Hopkins Hospital, which was a large building, 20 operating rooms and 1.5 million square feet. And at the time, it was the largest hospital project in America, probably the world, at the time that it was built. We built the Hilton Hotel, the one that's attached to the convention center. We built arenas at Coppin University. We've done all kinds of work in and around Baltimore, and I'm also a real estate developer, and we had ownership in the 2 bioparks in town, the biopark at the University of Maryland Biopark, as well as the Science and Technology Park at Johns Hopkins. So, and a number of other projects in and around Baltimore. So we've had quite a career in Baltimore. I also wound up sitting on numerous boards. I've been on a bank board. I was a former trustee of a school, of Adelphi University. I served on the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the #1 school of public health in the world, and we've traveled around with them. I've been to India and Nepal and Cuba, and spent 3 weeks in Peru looking at all of the research projects that were going on in Peru. So that's a great board. I'm also on the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Board, and that is the #1 shock trauma unit in the world, based on the severity of injuries and the number of injuries that they have, and they rated as the #1. It was the original, and they rated as the #1. So being on that board is amazing. They do some amazing things. Every year they have a gala, and you see people, and they'll show 2 or 3 people that have been terribly injured, and that somehow they were medevaced to the hospital and go into the shock trauma, and they would save their lives. And so it's very, very dramatic to be on a board such as that. Also chair the board of directors for the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, the Baltimore branch, and that is an amazing board. And so I hear all the information about supply chain issues and inflation and interest rates and all of that, and how that affects the economy, and what has to be done about that. And so that's a very interesting, very, very interesting board to be on. And along the way of building this business and being on these boards, I've also received black belts in 2 different styles of karate, Shorin-ju and Shorin-juru, and Shorin-juru and Shotokan. And I was world champion in Shotokan karate in 1991 at the age of 39. I traveled to, made the American team, traveled to Japan, and fought in a tournament with 86 black belt athletes. And then they say black belt, you're just, male black belt. I don't care if you're 6'5" or 5'2". I don't care if you're 120 pounds or 280 pounds. It didn't matter. You're male, you're black belt, 1st degree, 10th degree, doesn't matter. You're over here. 86 competitors from around the world. There was a single elimination tournament, and I had 5 fights prior to the finals, made the finals, fought the 22-year-old who was then a grand national champion in martial arts in fighting, and came out the winner of that event. I was the oldest competitor, as I said, at age 39. I was just an amazing time of my life. I've also traveled to 55 countries or so, and traveled to 6 continents, and I've seen some great sights. I've seen the pyramids, and I've walked the Great Wall of China, and I dove the Great Barrier Reef. I've seen the Taj Mahal and so many different places around the world, and I'm proud to have been, to see that. And I like to get involved with the people and not just the tourist areas, and, to have that kind of life. I want to say also that I have a beautiful and accomplished wife, Gloria. She's an amazing woman. I'll talk a little bit more about her later. We have 4 adult children. Kenan, who is in New York and went there to work with Google as a programmer, and now is the head of technology at the Daily Beast. Kenya, who's in Atlanta, we call her the dog whisperer, because she can literally make a dog do anything. And anytime a dog has behavioral problems, they bring them to her. She works with them for a day or a week or whatever it is, and changes their behavior. And she's 95% successful in changing the behaviors of dogs that have gotten out of hand. So we're very proud of her. I have another daughter, Juliana, who is also in Atlanta, and she is an international makeup artist, and it's just amazing work that she does. And we also have a son, Chauncey, who is in Detroit now, working for one of the largest law firms in Detroit, and was the youngest selected as a partner for the firm, and it was the youngest person ever to be selected as partner at that law firm, and he is leading the one of their largest accounts with General Motors. So he's a man that they talk to. So they're all doing amazing. We're very proud of all of them. And I want to say that in my life, one of the things that has motivated me was I never want to look back in my life and think anything other than I'm very satisfied with that. In other words, if I'm, I don't have that long, and I'm at the end of my days, and I have a chance to reflect upon my life, I want to be able to look back and say I'm proud of what I've done. I feel good. I feel like without a doubt in my heart, I've lived life well. I've lived a good life. And basically, as opposed to, saying, "Oh, I wish I had done better. Why didn't I take that chance? Why did I leave that on the table? Why didn't I go after that? God, give me a few more years." God say, "Look, you've had 75 years. You've had your chance. That's it. That's all you get. You had your chance." I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like I've done the best. I've lived life. I've mixed it up. I've gotten involved. I've had some plans. I saw it through. To the end. That's what I want to feel like. And that's what we're talking about today. A life well lived. It reminds me of when I was in high school, and probably my junior and senior, the summers of my junior and senior year, I worked for a company called Domino Sugar. And so thank you, Domino Sugar, for hiring me as a teenager back in 1969 or so. And I was part of the yard gang. We did all the various jobs, kind of took the place of people that were on vacation or whatever. And there was a guy that ran the elevator, and every so often I'd go to relieve him for his lunch. And so he'd go, and this elevator, it was a manual elevator. It had this little lever, and you pull the lever to the left or the right, and you try to stop it at the floor. You had to go up, and sometimes you're a little high, you had to go back down a little bit. So I thought it was fun. It was a game, trying to stop it right at the floor. It's not high or not low, stop it right at the floor. And so it was fun for me, but I only did it an hour a day. And then I asked him, how long have you been doing this? He said, 26 years. I said, 26 years, 26 years. He was a World War II vet. That's the first job he had coming out of World War II. And he was an elevator operator. So he spent 35 hours a week in that elevator, 50 weeks a year, times 26 years. How much of your life did he spend in that elevator? And I determined at that time, that's not for me. That is not for me. And I don't it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just it wasn't. I just couldn't do that. I knew that. And there's so many people that are doing jobs that they don't feel like doing. They don't want to do. And if you don't feel like doing, if you don't want to do it, and your heart's not in it. You know, people. I got a lot of friends. I talk to a lot of people. I say, "How you doing?" You go up to any place, and store, bank, or whatever you go to, and say, "Hey, how you doing today?" And the teller says, "Oh, I'm making it. I'm above the ground. So every day above the ground's a good day. Oh, I'm so tired though. I'm just worn out. What are you gonna do this weekend?" "Oh, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna take it." I mean, come on. Where's the excitement? Where's the energy? What do you have to look forward to? And that's what I'm talking about today. A life well lived, not living a boring life. Can you imagine Elon Musk saying, "Oh man, I'm so tired. Oh boy. I got this space thing, and I got, this electric car thing. I'm just exhausted, man. I'm poof, man." No, he's energized. He's thinking ahead. He's doing things. He's got stuff to do. Can you imagine Oprah? Oprah being, "Oh, okay, TV stuff and all these personalities I got to interview, and I got that school in Africa. Oh, geez. Give me a cup of coffee. I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I'm so tired." Jeff Bezos, Muhammad Ali. Can you imagine Muhammad Ali when he's walking around saying, "I'm the greatest there ever was. I'm the greatest." And you think he goes back to the gym and says, "Oof, man, I'm too tired to work out today. I'm so bored. I'm so bored." No. Mike Bloomberg, what do you think? No. They got things to do. They're moving on because they got a plan. They got a vision for themselves and for their future. They know who and what they want to be. And so the question is, what do you want to do? Or what do we want to do with our lives? How do we live? What principles will we uphold? Or what will we be compromising about, Who shall we determine to be? That's the big question. Who shall we determine to be? It's my contention that each of us has a destiny within, and that each of us has an opportunity to be magnificent or not, and that we each have a choice to select the man or woman that we are going to be in the future. I can imagine our future selves looking back on us saying, "What are you doing?" "I want to be great." What are you doing? I really want to be great. You got 5 years to get to me. I want to be great. You are not doing the things that you need to do to make me great. If you keep on doing the same things, you're going to keep on having the same result. I'm going to be just like you unless you change your ways. Please, I want to be great. I can be. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your future self? What is your future self saying to you? We are amazing. All it takes is to make a decision, to make your brilliance manifest. Let the beauty of what you love be what you do. There are a few things that prevent people from establishing their dream. Refusing to believe in yourself, refusing to believe that you have magnificence within, laziness, excuses, procrastination, fear of the unknown. Because when you establish your own path, your own way, there's a road less traveled. You'll be on the road less traveled. And there's a road that's more traveled. See, the road that's traveled is the road that's smooth, doesn't have any turns, doesn't go up and down. When you come to a ravine, there's a bridge that takes you over from one side to the other side. You don't have to think. You can close your eyes and walk that path. If you choose your own path, choose the road less traveled, then you got to watch yourself. There's things in the path. You got to go back and forth, up and down. When you come to a ravine, there's no bridge. You got to go down one side, across the water, and up the other side. When you come to a fork in the road, which way do you go? There's a fork. You don't know. 80% of the time, you're going to go the right way. 20% of the time, you might have to do something like reverse your steps and then go the other way. Because you're in your own path, in your own way, you don't know. But some people fear the unknown. If you fear the unknown, then making your own way through life is going to be difficult. What does it take to succeed? I have a little story when I was in between college and when I started Banks Contracting. I worked for a company called Mutual of New York, Money, M-O-N-Y. And it was a fabulous job. I mean, I was 23 years old. I was working for this insurance company. It was a national insurance firm. I was Rookie of the Year, so all the new hires in that year, I think it was 1975, I was the number one at 23. I was working in Manhattan on the 57th floor of a building downtown, right across the street from Bloomingdale's. I had a corner office and I could look out one window and see uptown Manhattan. I could look out another window looking east and across the Queens and the Brooklyn Bridge and the East River and see the planes landing and taking off from LaGuardia and Kennedy. I mean, it was fabulous. During the weekends, I'd have friends come over. We'd have little parties there, partying. During the weekday, I'm working. Beautiful place. I mean, it was just incredible. And then all of a sudden, one day, I hear this isn't for you. I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? Oh, let that go, keep on going and keep on partying and keep on having a good time, keep on making money. I felt good, I felt great. Everybody thought I was fantastic, my family, my friends. And then this voice comes again, this is not for you. So where is that voice coming from? I ignored it. But after a few months, 4 months went by, and 6 months, and I had to realize, I had to see it for myself. This wasn't for me. I like the stuff around it. I like the the office and the Manhattan, but I did not really like selling insurance and pension plans. That wasn't in my heart. So what do? I know that this isn't it, but I don't know what is. And so at that time, I think I made the bravest decision of my life. Instead of staying in a track that I did not enjoy, I quit that job. I got some camping equipment. I had a car. And I drove around the United States and Canada for the next year and a half. I had a big beard, going from state park to provincial park in Canada, all the way from Nova Scotia to British Columbia in Canada and Vancouver Island off the coast. 38 states in the United States traveled through, just going back and forth across the country. Learned a lot about myself, saw a lot of the country, it was beautiful. I was in the Everglades, and I was camping next to a guy that had a 45-foot recreation vehicle. I have a car and a pup tent, right? And so, but we struck up a conversation, and during that conversation, he said, look, I have a company in Houston. If you ever come to Houston, look me up, I'll give you a job. So we exchanged numbers, and a couple of months later, I found myself in Texas, and I said, all right, let me give him a call. I gave him a call. He was in, so I went to Houston. He gave me a job, and it was on a construction site. I got on this construction site, and I started just carrying wood, and I learned how to cut wood and measure, and man, I said, this is what I love. I love this. I love the smell of it. I love seeing something coming up out of the ground and before your eyes, you're building something, you're making something. I thought it was the best thing in the world. And so I knew that when I finished traveling my travels, and when I got back to wherever I lived, I was going to establish a construction company because I believed in entrepreneurship. And when I did, I actually stopped. I worked for a company for a couple of years. I started as a carpenter's helper. I became a carpenter relatively quickly, and then became a foreman running projects. And then as soon as I felt comfortable, I started my own company in 1980, Banks Contracting Company. That experience taught me a lot. It taught me to follow my heart. It taught me to make the uncomfortable decisions, kind of standing toe-to-toe with yourself, looking at yourself and having to make those decisions, those uncomfortable decisions. Willingness to embrace the unknown. I believe that life begins at the edge of the unknown. And I've made my own decisions. I didn't listen to my peers, my family, who told me, you're crazy. You can't leave, you can't do that. You got a great job, you're giving this up for what? But I was giving it up for me. I was giving it up for my heart. And I had to make that decision. So what do we do? What do we need to be successful? Make people around you successful is important. Make people around you better is important. Look into them and see if you can find a way to make their lives better, or to make them better, so that they can be better. Instill in them a sense of meaningness, a sense of pride in the work that they do. I noticed this with my wife. I said I'd speak a little bit more about her earlier, Gloria Mayfield Banks. I met her August 27th of 1990 in Florida. And she was a young entrepreneur working in the cosmetic industry in Mary Kay. She was a young director in Mary Kay. And my business I had a young business in Baltimore. But we had these very discussions we would talk about, these very discussions, how to be better, how to follow your heart, how to understand your magnificence. And so she's done a phenomenal job. She rose in the ranks in Mary Kay, and she from where she rose to number 20 in the top 25, and then in the top 10. And over the last 6 years, she just retired this past December. The last 6 years, she was number one in the company, meaning number one out of 3.5 million women. That's magnificence. That's believing in yourself. That's going the hard way. But I could see what she did to people. She would pour into them confidence. She'd have a person who wanted to be successful, but was maybe shy and retiring, just couldn't even talk to people. And she'd fill them with confidence, fill them with charisma, and push them out there. And so walking from a person who couldn't even speak to another person, would barely look them in the eyes, 2 years later, they're strutting around on the stage, carrying a microphone, speaking to an audience of hundreds. That's what she was able to do. Make people better. And you have to make people better when you're after your magnificence. Let people understand that they can be magnificent also. Find your passion. Don't be afraid to think big. Anthony Robbins said, dream as if you knew you could not fail. If you knew you could not fail. What if I said to you, I guarantee, if I guarantee success. If I guarantee you success, what would you do? If I could guarantee that you will be successful, what would you do? What big dream would you have? Sometimes I think of Noah, Noah in the ark. Noah's walking around, he's pretty happy, he's just, living life. And then, as I had a whisper, Noah had, God, Noah, yes, God. Noah, I want you to build an ark. Get 2 animals of every type on the planet and put them in the ark. I'm getting ready to flood the place out. But I'm sorry, what? I said, Noah, I want you to build an ark, get 2 animals of every type on the planet, put it in an ark. I'm getting ready to flood the place out. I got to go. See you later. Blip. So he's got this massive thing. What does Noah do? First thing he does is turns to his friend and says, but Do you know what an arc is? So you don't let God give you your greatness. Don't let him tell you what your greatness is. You figure it out yourself. It's easier for you. Do not fear failure. There's no shame in failing or falling. You can fall once, you just get up. Fall twice, get up. You fall 50 times, you get up. The 51st time, you get up. You keep falling until you don't fall again, and you become successful. I like what Winston Churchill said. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Success is the ability to go from one failure to another without a loss of enthusiasm. Peter Daniels, the great Australian industrialist and motivator, said it this way: when a strong, optimistic desire to think, commit, and work exceeds by far the weak, negative fear of failure, success is guaranteed. You also must have a clear intention. Envision the man or woman you intend to be. See her clearly. Now work ferociously to see her appear, thereby collapsing the time that you become her. Your future person, collapse the time that you become that person that you envision in your mind. Urgency. There's an urgency about what needs to be done. I remember in 2008 going to a doctor and having an exam, and that doctor telling me, well, you know, I feel something a little strange. I think you should go get it checked out. I said, all right, I'll get it checked out. You know, I work out every day of my life. I eat right. I do the right things. I went to get it checked out. They told me I had cancer of the prostate. Not only cancer of the prostate, but a very aggressive form of cancer, one that spread very quickly. So what do? I took a few days and felt bad about that. But after 2 or 3 days, I had to say, okay, what do? I have to do something now. Okay, I cried in my milk, let's go. So I spoke to a number of doctors around the country, experts. And one of the last doctors I spoke to was right here at the University of Maryland. I spoke to a man, this was before I served on the boards there. And he told me exactly what he can do. He said, look, you can do this or that. Here's the percentage of your of success if you do it this way. Here's the percentage of success if you do it that way. And so I said, okay. He said, you can either A, have your prostate removed. He said, but there's a gland or a duct which goes around the prostate, and it's very delicate. And if it's damaged during the removal, you may never be able to have sex again. And he said, or B. I'll take B. So I took B, and B was a number of radiation treatments where they penetrate the prostate with radiation, and thankfully, blessedly, I was cured of cancer, and so for the past 14 or 15 years, I have not had a recurrence. And I'm very grateful for that, and that is another attribute. Be grateful. Find gratefulness in life. Why be ungrateful? I mean, there's 1,000 things that are going right, and there's 10 things that maybe which will change. I'm grateful for the 1,000 things that are going right. I want to give thanks. I want to be grateful for that, and I want to be grateful for the future person that's going to be coming into my life, the future person that I'm collapsing the time to get to. So in conclusion, the rest is up to you. You now have to come face to face with your greatest ally or your greatest enemy, and that is your own mind. Does your mind envision winning no matter the obstacles, or does it see obstacles at every turn? When the analytical mind is screaming no, but your divine nature is saying yes, hold on or let go. When the time comes, I would say trust God, take the leap of faith, and let go. Some would say that you don't have the right to refuse the world of your magnificence, and I believe that. So be a visionary, be a blessing unto the world, be confident, be brilliant, be a light unto the world, be your truth. I think Jesus said it best. Whosoever should say unto that mountain, whosoever should say unto that mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass. He shall have whatsoever he saith. God bless. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And hopefully there's some time left over for questions and answers. Bye.
Thank you, Ken. Wow, for sharing so generously with us your journey and your insights on what it takes to be successful and fulfilled. Ken, if you could share how mentorship has played a role in your success and how you mentor others.
Well, I can tell you mentorship over the years has meant a tremendous amount to me. I mean, I can start with an uncle or a grandfather who, took me under their wings when I was young. My early life was chaotic, and they took the time to take me out of that situation. And I had an uncle that lived upstate New York and in the country, had acres around, and so it was nice to be able to go out and get away from certain environments. I had a track coach in high school that just guided me throughout. I was kind of angry, and I needed something to focus on. And so I've had some great business mentors over time, and so I'm very, very fortunate. And of course, I always think, as an African American, I always think that I stand on the backs of so many people who have suffered to get me to the point where I can live the life that I live, and that's something that I keep in mind also. In terms of mentoring others, I've had a lot of opportunity. I think there's been a lot of people that I've mentored in business, mostly business, people that I help financially in business, and help with all kinds of ideas and how do you go forward and what do you do. And so that's been part of my life, and I've been very fortunate to do that. And now also I'm very involved, and which is something I didn't talk about, is I'm involved in encouraging people to stay in shape. I don't think I mentioned I'll be 70 next month, and I'm in pretty good shape certainly for a 70-year-old, and some people would say for people a lot younger. And I want to, there's people that I've mentored what I want to do is change the perspective of what it looks like to be 70 years old. And if I can change a person's perspective, if I can change a person the way they think about what it looks like, then maybe they can do the same thing. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm doing. And we're doing it on Instagram, and we're doing it around, and I do it in my gym. And so many people, I'm by far the oldest person in my gym. it's populated by 25 and 30-year-olds, but I'm still there and you know, keeping up, I think. And even at least in my head, I'm thinking up, keeping up, you know. So that's talking about mentorship.
Well, thanks for sharing that. So I love what you said about make your brilliance manifest. I mean, that's very powerful. And you also conveyed the ingredients for living a happy and fulfilled life. Can you share what has kept you focused, staying on course to meet those goals?
Yes, make your brilliance manifest. I think what has helped to keep me on course is, first of all, it's an idea. That's an idea about your brilliance manifest. So keeping focus on that is keeping that vision in your mind. And I've talked about keeping that future person. So I'm always thinking about, what do I want to do? I don't want to stagnate. I don't want to be here. I want to continue to move forward in life. Although I want to enjoy this time, the time between here and there. I want to enjoy it. I don't want to set goals that, you know, and this is a trap that I think some people fall into, is that they set a goal. I want a bigger house. I want a big house. And so they set this goal and they work hard, feverishly to get to this goal. But the time between now and then, they don't enjoy it. It's just working toward this goal. And then you achieve that goal. And then 3 months later, you need something else. You need another goal, maybe a bigger house, you know, somewhere else. And so it's one of those things where and for me, keep focused on that. I work out a lot, and I think that helps me to stay focused. I meditate every day. I don't miss a day. I meditate every day, and that helps me to keep the mind, keep me calm, you know, keep me centered. And so those are the things that I do to stay in this state, I guess, to continue that, and just keep that vision in mind for where I want to go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And finally, you know, you gave us the good advice there to never give up. You know, stay persistent. What can you tell those who are listening this evening, who may at times, from time to time, feel discouraged or feel they might not have the skills to achieve their goals? How can they reframe their perspective?
I think that knowledge, number one, that everybody gets discouraged. Discouragement is not singular, it's not solitary. It's not, everybody gets discouraged from time to time. Now the question is, how do you stay above that? How do you continue through? I got discouraged when I got cancer, but I had to continue on. Sometimes you take a break, you know, take a little bit of a break, of a mental break or a physical break. But you got to keep on. You got to keep going. I remember reading the book Endurance by Sir Ernest Shackleton, and the story of he was an Arctic explorer, and he got shipwrecked in the Antarctic, and the incredible feats and their endurance of being able to survive those conditions, and the ship was destroyed, and how they survived a year on the ice in Antarctica. And a small group got into one of the small boats and sailed away, and they found, you know, they miraculously made it and what helped back. But you read something like that, and I'm just like, oh my God. I remember I'm a fight fan. I was a fighter, and I watched many fights, and I saw this fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. I think it was 1971. And it was, I saw in those two individuals, absolute, they would not give up. Nothing could make that. They'd rather die than give up. And I saw that, and there's very few people on the planet who can do that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that I can, but I've tried to adopt that as much as humanly possible, to be able to, to be able to continue. I got some of that also when I was working in insurance. You got to make 100 calls to get two successes. So you get 98 no's and 2 yeses. I mean, that is very discouraging. But you just got to keep moving and keep going. I think of, I guess maybe the ultimate example is Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison, when he invented the light bulb, he had 10,000 failures. Can you imagine 10,000 failures? So Tom goes to the bar, on Friday night with his friends. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Hey, you get that light bulb ready? you get that light in the bulb? Why don't you just use a match? Can you imagine what he was going through? I mean, 10,000 failures. I don't know how many years that was, and then finally, a success. So when you talk about never give up, do you think you work that hard? I have to look at other people's examples, and I have to see how far people can go. And I have to understand that, yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'd rather not go any further, but I have to, because, I'm not doing anything nearly as hard as some of the people that I read about. And so that helps me to move to, and hopefully that helps other people to find strength in a time of weakness.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thanks so much for your advice. It's indeed been inspirational and empowering, and we're very grateful that you were able to share your story with us this evening. Thank you. And I turn the program over now to Marika for closing remarks.
Great. Thank you so much. What an incredibly inspiring conversation. Ken, you give us all something to strive for and the words and motivation to get there. So thank you so much for everything you shared with us this evening. As we prepare to close, I would like to thank all of our participants for joining us this evening and for our inaugural President's Forum. I would also like to just briefly share with you an upcoming event that we have coming on April the 5th, which is our Busta Business Forum. That will be taking place on April the 5th here, a virtual format, and its topic is diversity in supply chain, creating sustainable futures. And that features Sherry Heinisch, who is a circularity executive at IBM, and Susan Afflin, who as the co-CEO of the World Trade Center Institute here in Baltimore. So we hope that you can join us for that. Registration is open on our website events page. So with that, once again, I would like to say thanks again to everyone, and we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.